I won't say I'm someone with a huge influence in its market, but I also can't 100% say that I can 100% say that I have an influence on at least 100 people inside my industry. And in the long run, I'm playing a game where I want to have a really deep influence on 1,000, 10,000, or even more early stage to mid stage SaaS founders in my market. So today, I'm not going to speak to you from my personal experience because I still don't consider myself as some, let's say, very influential person inside the SaaS market, but rather I'm going to speak from experience of a bunch of other marketing experts and CEOs that I interviewed who managed to have an outstanding growth pretty much only by having a really strong influence and presence inside their category. So before we dive into the exact 4 steps that you need to do in order to start working on building your influence, let's first go through on why you should even consider having an influence, why you should even consider building your own personal brand. So each day, we as a human beings, we are bombarded by millions and millions of messages, things, and ads, and brands, and everything else, right? And barely, we can barely remember a handful of those things that we see each day, right? We see some ad right now, we forget it after a second, right? Uh, on the other side, only 3% of your market is ready to buy a solution like yours right now. But what happens with all those like 97%? Well, they are not ready to buy right now, but how do you ensure that once those 97% become ready to buy from you, how do you make sure that you are their go-to option in their mind, or that they will even consider you upon reaching that moment? Let us play a little game right now. So how many there are like thousands of CRMs, thousands of email marketing solutions, thousands of email databases. Like the competition landscape is growing each day. So pretty much every week, if not every day, you're getting a new competitor popping up every day. So let me ask you, let's play the game right now. How many email marketing solutions can you uh, name right now from the first out? Right? I don't know for you, but from the first out, I can name perhaps only 4 to 5 of them. And those 4 or 5 I like MailChimp, Klaviyo, GetResponse, ActiveCampaign, and perhaps ConvertKit, right? And guess what? Probably you also named those 5 tools as well, because those are the 5 most influential email marketing solutions in the field, right? And they, with every right, of course, I positioned inside the user's mental availability, right? And we as a people, we have a space inside our mental availability for just around like 2 to 5 tools at most, probably less than 5, right? And so what's your goal? You want to position your brand inside your potential customers' mental availability, right? Because that's the only way how you can engage with the other 97%. And one of the best ways to do that is by building an influence, right? Is by building an influence. So now when we understand the importance of building an influence, and yeah, I forgot to say, like, as I told you, there are like dozens of people out there, great examples of people and how they built a really amazing companies almost just with their influence and creating a thought leadership content out there. So let me guide you through my 4-step process for building great influence inside your market. So the first one is find your enemies, right? So in order to make someone engage with your content, you need them somehow to identify themselves with what you're preaching, right? And one of the best ways, and that's why I'm advising pretty much every B2B SaaS company I'm consulting, is to find the enemies. But I'm not, when I say enemies, I don't mean on your competitors. I mean on things people are not aware of. I mean of on outdated processes people are using and many other stuff you're fighting against. So for example, when it comes to me and Contenthorse, our biggest enemy is content marketing strategy that brings traffic but not conversions. In other words, we fight against the content that doesn't bring real customers to SaaS companies. And why so? Because we believe that the main purpose of content marketing is to drive more revenue. And we really fight against strategies that don't make that goal happen, right? For example, Lemlist out there, a cold email marketing solution, fights against an unpersonalized cold emails, right? So you need to find an enemy and then shape your entire story around those enemies. And we'll talk about that later on. Second thing is find your personality content fit. So if you're following me for a while, you know that there is like a product market fit, there is a content market fit, a very crucial thing that many SaaS companies out there don't focus on. But now I'm introducing to you a personality content fit, right? So not every person is great for every part of the narrative, right? This is a little bit broader topic. So I'm right now going to mention just two most common personality content feeds, and I mean personalities out there, narratives that you can use out there. The first one is, I like to call it like an adventurer. And if you're an adventurer, then you lead conversations from your own perspective. So you are the hero of the entire story. You're sharing your own experiences, you're sharing your own stories, your own learnings, your own unique nuggets, secret knowledge, and everything else, right? So you're sharing the journey of your loss, the journey of your redemption, the journey of your success. You're sharing your own secret insights. And the second most common type is a journalist. So in this case, you are not the hero of the story, but rather you are going on a journey to find out the different heroes, identify their secret knowledge, compel them, and share with your audience, right? So basically, you're the journalist. Both of these approaches are great. The second one might be perfect for you if you are not considering yourself to be the expert in your niche, and that's completely okay. In that case, the journalist narrative might be the great fit for you. Now, when we have the enemies, when we have the personality content feed, now it's time to identify this storyline. So what kind of, there are like different types of story formats that you can use to shape your stories around them, to tell your insights, to share your content overall. And here are like four specific storylines, four like most common storylines that you can use. The first one, like as I said earlier, loss and redemption. So loss and the redemption story is pretty much share the upside of going through difficult times and challenging. So you are starting the story by telling some kind of success that you had, some kind of great achievements that you got, but then during some trial or something you've lost it all. And these kinds of stories are great as a hope, as the light at the end of the tunnel for your audience who is going through similar path. Then you have us versus them, and this is a great way to engage with a very specific group of people, or to engage with your raving fans and pull them even closer to you. Us are identified as the people who are doing some things the way you are doing them. For example, your customers. So the customers, or in my case, us could be the SaaS companies who are growing their companies by 10-15% month over month with the content marketing strategies, ROI-led content marketing strategies that we are developing for them. While them might be the SaaS companies out there who are not leveraging the full ROI through content, who are optimizing their strategies for traffic rather than conversions. So us are really essentially your customers and your ideal customers. Them are the people who are using some things that you're fighting against. So in Lemley's case, would be the people who are sending very unpersonalized and generic cold emails. The third narrative is before and after, and you're already very familiar with it. This works pretty much well in almost every industry, especially in fitness, but you know that. But I also seen a great examples of this inside SaaS, inside digital agencies, services, whatever it is. is the case. And here is where you can really leverage the power of success stories or the customer stories for your product. And the fourth one is the secret telling, where you're really telling some secrets that no one else knows in the world. So you're the only person in this world that knows those secrets. So now, so far we have our enemies, we have a personality content fit, and we have chosen a couple of narratives that we're going to use around the content. And the fourth thing is obviously to share all of this with the world. And I know this is a very, very obvious, but yet very difficult thing to do. However, this over here, we can talk about hours about this. So I'm not going to do that in this episode. I'm going to do it in some of the future ones. But essentially, I just want to say the idea is to go out and produce the content on places where your gym customers are hanging out. And the ways, there are like a couple of ways to find those places. The first one being like interview your customers, do an ICP research, find the content market fit. I talked for 10 minutes about this in episode number 9 called How to Find the Content Market Fit. Then we have like the second thing is like to follow thought leaders in your niche, in your market, to really engage with them. And the other people who are following them will also start following you. They will start engaging with your content as well. And the third thing is like to speak on the relevant podcasts, on the relevant gigs, on relevant webinars, summits, conferences, whatever it is. At the beginning, don't even think about the audience side. So accept every opportunity that comes your way, because that's really the path on how you're building an influence. Your first conference won't be SaaS Talk, SaaS Share, Web Summit, or whatever it is. Like, you need to start from the small beginnings. So as I said, like how exactly to nail different channels when it comes to distributing your content and sharing your story out there is a very, very broad topic, and I'll definitely talk about it in some of the future episodes. But for now, let me just say, like, don't overcomplicate. If you are pitching yourself to speak on other podcasts, like send like 2 to 3 short sentence emails, no more. Just explain briefly why you think you will be the great fit for the host audience, and that's it. Do the same if you wanna feature yourself on some popular blog inside your category and whatever it is. So these are the really the 4 steps towards building a great influence in your market. Remember, this is a very long-term game. Revenue can't be really attributed, so there's a lot of dark social game in play, and you need to invest a lot of time to see the first results. But once you see essentially that your target accounts are starting to organically engage with your content, you will know that you're doing something great. And in the long run, that won't be like 5 target accounts engaging with you, that will be 500, 5,000 or even more dream customers engaging with your content and listening to you, listening to your voice, listening to your content, and so on. So let me know what you think about this. And if you have any questions, you know that I'm always one message away.